Hello, everybody. Hi, guys.
Aloha.
Hello.
I'm so excited to talk to both of you. And I have to say, I feel like in this world, oftentimes a bunch of people get together and oh, do a panel and sit on a stage and talk. But seeing you guys backstage for the last 20 minutes and how you interact with each other, there's real love in this dynamic and in this relationship.
Oh, yeah, I love Matt. They're my favorite.
Yeah, I think it's really
don't
special.
Tell my other lawyers that.
I mean, to kick things off, Matt, I'm curious, can you tell us a little bit about Our Children's Trust and the origin story and what you're trying to accomplish with this legal strategy?
Sure. So thank you so much for inviting us here, Emma, and for having us tell you a little bit about Our Children's Trust. So it was founded in 2010 by Julia Olson, who was an environmental lawyer and who was having kids at the time and was becoming concerned that she wasn't making enough change in the world using the traditional methods of environmental law. She was really interested in making systemic, lasting change using the court system. And so she got together with a good friend of hers, Dr. Mary Wood, and they conceived of this idea of how to use the Constitution at the federal level and then at state levels to advance environmental rights, to go beyond what statutes allow us to do. So a year later, they did a big Mother's Day action, right? This has always really been about children and their moms and sometimes their grandparents, where they brought actions in all 50 states. And we lost a lot of those actions, right, in 2011. So fast forward to last year, in 2023, we brought the first children's constitutional climate change case in the state of Montana, sued the state of Montana for their investments in fossil fuels and for constantly greenlighting fossil fuel projects while sidelining and stopping renewable energy projects on behalf of 16 young Montanans, and they won. So they won this huge victory saying that they have constitutional rights to a clean and healthy environment and that they have rights to life and dignity for themselves and for future generations. And we're busy in litigation trying to sue the pants off of lots of governments around the world to protect the rights of children.
That's amazing. And how did you find your way into this work? What brought you to the court and to go, this is the avenue that I want to pursue, and this is where I'm going to invest my time and energy?
Aloha kako, everyone. O Kalālapaikuanalu Helen Kamana Okoloe Kamalo Konanio Kaala or Tigero Winter. I just go by Kalālapa. I am from Ha'ena, Kauai, and Haleiwa, Oahu, and I'm the oldest plaintiff in a case called Navahine F versus the Hawaiʻi Department of Transportation, which I'm sure we're going to get into. I found my way into this work through, I have always been in this work, I guess. I was born into a very activism-heavy family, and whenever I say activism, I quote the word activism because I did not know that activism as a concept really existed until I was a freshman in high school. I was about 14. I had this belief that I was raised with in my community that if you care about something, you fight for it. If something's right, you fight for it. If you care about a family member, you take care of it. If you care about the land, which we see as a fellow family member, you would take care of it. I was not aware that it's not common. Not that it's not common. Look how amazing this room looks. It's quite common. It's just not the norm. But I was born into that type of family. I grew up, I always say I'm a child of the lands of Ha'ena and a child of the lands of Haleiwa. I was born very much into the land. My whole life has been stewardship. My father's a scientist, so I've learned a lot from him. And oh my God, I love this picture. Sorry. I learned a lot my entire life about what is known as biocultural restoration. I work a lot with the concept of decolonizing sustainability, and it's been my entire life. I'm a fisherwoman, so I grew up fishing. I grew up on our Apapo, which is a flat reef, with my family, my kupuna, my elders, my younger siblings, my dad. So it's just a part of me, I guess.
I love that answer because it is so easy to use the label of activist when in reality it's just like, no, we're doing this because it's actually what feels good and it's our job and responsibility for future generations. And
Exactly.
thank you for saying that. How is Hawaii doing tackling greenhouse gas emissions? Can you break that down for us?
Well, yes, I can. So Hawaii has to meet a net carbon zero emissions goal by 2045. We have legally said that we're going to do that. Obviously, you can't go from 0 to 100 or 100 to 0. It takes years for that kind of progression to happen, right? So we have a bunch of big departments that are supposed to be slowly bringing down the carbon emissions. And there's one department that isn't doing that. In fact, their carbon emissions are going up. And it might surprise you that they're in charge of like a huge amount of the carbon emissions all throughout the state, and that is the Hawai'i Department of Transportation. So we're suing them.
How's that going? Can you tell us about it?
It's going good. I think we know we're gonna win. They know we're going to win. Yeah, they know. Yeah, let me tell you, they could not find a lawyer in Hawaii that was going to fight. So let me just explain what the case is, because there's all these like amazing people standing behind me who are my friends. I am one of 13 youth plaintiffs. I am the oldest. I am 20 now. I was one of the first plaintiffs. We started talking about it when I was 16, filed when I was 18. Yeah, and now I'm 20. Our youngest plaintiff is a full decade younger than me. She's 10 years old. I love her. Her name's Kaena. She's amazing. It's going really well, but the state could not find a lawyer. I'm presuming. I actually don't know the real reason behind this. I assume it's that they couldn't find a lawyer who wanted to fight a bunch of children who are fighting for our right to exist in Hawaii. So, oh yeah, you guys aren't even ready. So they hired the same firm that is defending Trump, who, when I tell you, I have a bone to pick with those people. It is not easy to make me cry in professional situations unless I really, really care about something. They made me cry in my deposition, and it was not good for them. But they being lots of different things, but the state spent as of this year, $3.2 million that they could have spent anywhere else. They could have spent in Lahaina, and everyone knows what happened in Lahaina. One of our plaintiffs lost her home in Lahaina, her second home, actually, that she's lost due to climate change. But regardless of that, $3.2 million to fight a bunch of children with really mean and pretty crappy lawyers. So I don't know. We're gonna win.
Oh, I think you're definitely gonna win. Also, there's something about the Hawaiian, I'm kind of going off book here, but there's something about the Hawaiian culture, and I can't speak to this, but I can say what I've experienced, and maybe you can share some more words, but there is a solidarity and a community-based unification that I feel like is so present there. You saw it with the Mauna Kea movement, or you're still seeing it with the Mauna Kea movement. You see it with something like this. What do you think it is? Is it just the way that people are born into having relation with land and having a different type of relationship to it than most Western cultures are used to? Or do you think can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think it's very special and I think it's really inspiring and it's something that I've been deeply inspired by.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. When we talk about Hawaii, we often, for myself, although clearly an American citizen, most Hawaiians, we don't refer to ourselves as American citizens because Hawaii was illegally taken over by the US. And so there's a lot of intergenerational trauma that comes from that. But Hawaii is an incredibly diverse and beautiful place. Not only is the islands are beautiful, like we all know the islands are beautiful, but the community, as you're saying, is very beautiful. Hawaiians, as a collective, we refer to ourselves as Lahui. So we talk about it a lot, and sometimes Hawaiian words will slip in to what I'm saying. So if you don't know, just ask me and I'll clarify. But lahui refers to the togetherness of the Hawaiian community, but also oftentimes used to refer to lahui as everyone in Hawaii. So there are some non-Hawaiians by blood. The concept of being Hawaiian is really weird because we refer to ourselves, those with Native Hawaiian blood, as Kanaka Oiwi or Kanaka Maoli. It means Native Hawaiian, but there are generations of families of immigrants who have been in Hawaii since the Hawaiian Kingdom who refer to themselves as Hawaiian citizens because they consider themselves loyal to the Hawaiian Kingdom. So because of that community and the diversification of such a beautiful place, it is really very clear how close we all are. It feels like a different, I live in LA now, and I've been living in LA for 2 years. It's great here, but it does feel like a different country in a sense. We have this togetherness without even knowing another person. You wanna know one way you can tell this? If any of you ever go to Hawaii and you're driving, we don't drive fast, but if you're ever driving and you transition lanes, or like you cut someone off, but they let you cut. If you don't put your hand up and give them a shaka or wave to them, you will ruin that person's entire day. Like that is how much, I'm not kidding, that is how much we rely on our community to like feel safe and together. Like a stranger not waving to me, I will call up someone and be like, bruh, this person didn't wave to me. So.
I love that. We need to start doing that here a little bit more.
Oh, I do it when I drive in LA. I'm like,
I do
thanks.
too, and they're like,
they don't like it.
I know. I'm like, I just gave you like a friendly smile. What are you complaining about? Can you elaborate on your strategy for youth-powered litigation and explain how sort of the WAVE strategy works?
Sure. So I guess what I would say is like back to what why our Children's Trust was founded. Like we are really deeply concerned about systems change that is enduring, that goes from, it doesn't matter who's in office. And we ultimately are, we're ultimately really, we're doing a couple of things. So all of our cases are youth-led, right? They're amazing people like Kalālapa, Genesis, who is on Emma's board and was supposed to be here today, but was sick and is really sad that she can't be here with us. And they are really like sort of the foundation of all of our cases. There's another really critical piece. We bring some of the world's best climate scientists and doctors together to testify on behalf of children in court, a place where the truth still matters, right? And so, and we're doing all of this in this sort of strategic way across the states in the United States to try and push the federal government to a tipping point, right? So if enough states have rights-based protections for children, we can transform the legal system at a federal level. We're also working in international tribunals and in national courts in countries like Canada and Mexico, Uganda, Pakistan. So the idea really is that litigation is just one of the levers of government that we can pull on. But it's a really powerful one, and it can clear a pathway so that all of the work that all of the people here are doing, be it on productions or in policy or in, conservation work, they all have like a clearing in which to move forward and operate, because as we know right now, a lot of government is kind of being held hostage, right, by this like two-party system, by this the intractable like lobbying, the amount of money that's being funneled in. Somebody yesterday said, I thought really wisely, that the immune system of the fossil fuel industry had been activated, and I was like writing that down because it really feels true. Like there is like an assault on people trying to do the right thing. And so we need the most powerful tools, and we need to be pulling on all of those tools at the same time. And that's what we think this impact litigation allows us to do.
Is there a precedent for this work?
Yeah, I mean, yes. One of the things so before joining our Children's Trust, I was the legal director at the ACLU in Oregon, where I worked a lot on LGBTQ issues that are really personal for me. I also worked on trans prisoner issues, really like important civil rights issues. And there was this moment where my partner, who was going back to school as an adult and was studying environmental sciences, said, "Hey, babe, I love you so much, and please don't take this the wrong way, but I'm worried that all of the work that you're doing is gonna go up in flames." And I was like, what? Like, and you know, they like Clay says to me, like, by the way, we had just won this massive case against the Department of Corrections, and we're defending these two young women against a principal that was making them read the Bible because they were gay, and like we were having these like powerful victories, and I was like, how dare you talk to me that way? But like, what do you mean? And and Clay really said, like, no, babe, I love you, and what you're doing is so important. And if these children don't have a world to inherit, like, what does their individual rights mean? And so I sort of like that like banged around in my head for nearly a year before this sort of opportunity came my way to join our Children's Trust. But in that sort of year, as I was thinking about it, I started looking back at civil rights movements. And what became just abundantly clear to me is that children have been at the heart of every major civil rights victory in this country, period. Like, you just can't find a civil rights victory where children haven't been a core part of the solution. And so we really pull on, for part of our state strategy, like the important work that the NAACP did and the Legal Defense Fund, leading up to Brown v. Board of Education, big systems changes that are, you know, maybe imperfect and we need to continue to work on, but give us the opening to create a more just world.
I, first of all, love Clay. That's a good partner. And I think to that point, just it proves how intersectional this conversation is too. How it's impossible to talk about climate work without talking about individual rights and communities that are on the front lines. And I would like to meet Clay one day.
Yeah, me too.
We haven't met yet. I know you mentioned that this work is happening in other countries, but are the constitutional protections very unique to the U.S.? Like, where do you run into sort of road bumps in other places?
Yeah, so there are currently 6 states in the United States that have constitutional protection, environmental protections explicit in their constitution. Hawaii being one of them. Montana was another one. Incredible, actually, just quick divergent story, which is the Montana Constitution was rewritten in 1972, which, if you are sort of aware of the environmental movement, you know 1970 was this kind of watershed year for the environmental movement in the US. That was the backdrop for the rewrite of the Montana Constitution. The youngest delegate to the Constitutional Convention in Montana, Maynard Ellingson, was 24, basically by a day, at the start of the Constitutional Convention. She's like, I want to participate. I care deeply about the environment. She got involved. She writes this provision at the age of 24, which then becomes the centerpiece of this litigation 50 years later. So, like, talk about a full circle moment of young people leading the way for us in this space. And also just, everybody knows that the courts right now are kind of a mess at the federal level, and it was not without a tiny little bit of glee that I got to put on the founding mother of this constitutional prevention. So like the originalists and the textualists, when they're like, well, what did they mean? Like, well, you can ask her. And so we got to put her on the stand, and she was an incredible witness in this case. You'll be able to watch it soon online. We're putting up a website that has the entire trial recorded. So anyway, there are 6 states with that. Other states have constitutional protections that we believe protect these rights. We all have the right to clean air, to clean water. Like, whether or not the government tells you that you have that right in writing, I want you all to know that you have that right. Like, that is a basic human right that we need to be teaching people about, so that they can go and demand it from governments who haven't put it in writing and who haven't made it explicit. So part of our campaign is to teach the public that they have these rights explicitly or sometimes implicitly, and to demand them from all government institutions. And there are constitutions around the world that also have it explicitly, but like I said, even if it's not explicit, I believe that right exists.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your personal vision for the future? And how do you hope, maybe specifically, to inspire other like Pacific Island nations, or the work that's going on over there? Is there collaboration? Is there...
Okay. Yesterday someone talked about the Lakota idea that we do work. The life we live now is going to affect the 7 generations that come after us. That is not specific to Lakota people, that concept. It's an amazing concept. For all Indigenous people, all Pacifica people, we have that mindset as well. We have about 4 like main categories, right? We refer to our ancestors and our elders as kupuna. We refer to our parents as makua. People, the youth that are almost makua, but not a little bit taller than children, who are keiki, we're referred to as opio. And even with that, you can see that we are always thinking about how we connect with the generations before us and every generation coming after us. So the 7 generations thing is an amazing concept, but in my mind, so many more generations come after that, you know? My vision with this case is that we win. And also in Hawaii specifically, my true vision for the future, if you don't know this, we do a study every year, not us, just like humans, of how the population of Hawaiians. As of this year, majority of Hawaiians live outside of Hawaii, which is really heartbreaking. We have the concept of being priced out of paradise. Our Indigenous people, after facing everything that we've gone through, and many people like look at me and they think I look very islandy. I'm actually Chinese, Filipino, and a bunch of other things as well as Hawaiian. I'm Hapa Hawaiian. Most Hawaiians look like me because we faced a lot of colonization. So because most Hawaiians look like me, there's this misconception of who's considered Hawaiian, blah, blah, blah. Reality is, majority of our Hawaiians, our Kanaka-iwi, do not live in Hawaii because we've been priced out of paradise. Hawaii has a huge amount of unhoused people for how small Hawaii is. Majority of those people are veterans left behind by the military, mainly Hawaiians, and everyone else tend to be Hawaiian Micronesian, all people of color for the most part, except for the states that send their unhoused people to Hawaii, which I'm not even gonna talk about. For me, that statistic, 56% of Hawaiians living outside of Hawaii, is heartbreaking. I think all Indigenous people have a right to exist where they're from, where their ancestors took care of those lands. We have a concept I talked about earlier. The earth is not separate from us. So when you hurt the earth, you are hurting someone I care about, because that is my family member. It's my ancestor, it's my brother, it's my sister, it's my cousin, it's my mom, it's my dad. Whatever word you want to use, that's my family member. And I think that all Indigenous people have a right to be where their family is. So my vision is that all Hawaiians can come home, and all Hawaiians will be able to connect with our place. Because there's a lot of issues facing Black and Brown communities, facing Indigenous communities, and one of my community's ways to fix that, and the way I've been taught to fix that, has been to put our people back into the earth. And that applies to everyone, not just Indigenous, Black and Brown people. Everyone needs to reconnect with the earth. We've heard a lot about that over the last 2 days. But my vision is for all Indigenous Pacifica people to be back where we're from, taking care of our aina, ensuring that endless amounts of generations after have a right to exist there and be healthy and be safe. And I do hope to inspire people. You're inspiring. Everyone in this room has been really inspiring. I hope to inspire people, Hawaiians. I love this work. This is my passion. But I'm also very passionate about acting, and I'm an aspiring actress, as one says. And I really hope to inspire. Let me just say this: every little kid is told, you can dream big dreams, right? Specifically within Black, Brown, POC, Indigenous communities, my community, we know there's only so big we can dream. I had that in my mind, but I don't think there should be how big we can dream. So I hope to inspire, be Hawaiian representation on screen, and inspire other young Hawaiian girls who didn't know they could do that to do that, and then create platforms. I want to create a platform to continue this work. So that's my dream. Sorry, it's long.
No. That was beautiful. And if you're acting, you're an actor. I don't think you're an aspiring actor. I think you're an actor. Finally, for our audience tonight, thank you for crying too. I think it's
Like,
so brave and
you're
beautiful.
crying. Like, I'm gonna cry if you're crying.
For all of us here and anyone who sees this, how can we be involved, or how can we be supportive of the work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for just listening to us, for giving this opportunity to share our story and to share a little bit about the work. I would encourage you to go to our website, ourchildrenstrust.org, and sign up for our newsletter so you can hear from Kalālapa and other incredible young people. I think that one of the things that has been just so amazing and moving to me about being able to participate in the Impact Summit is just I have heard stories, like really just beautiful stories of change and action. Some of them are like little actions, but they all make a big collective difference. And you know, what we're really trying to do here is change culture, right? Like to shift people away from fossil fuels, to shift a culture of sort of like exceptionalism and individualism into community and mutual aid and support. And so whatever you can do to be in relationship with young people, like that advances our work. And for the older generations like us, like support the young people in your life. And if you are a person of means, please support our Children's Trust.
Yes. Yeah, everything they said. Also, with the concept of intergenerational change, it's important to remember that it is easy as a young person experiencing what we're experiencing right now to be angry, and we have a right to be angry. However, with the work that we do, if you are always filled with rage, you will burn yourself out, and I've learned that too many times. So I have come to this belief that took me a while. I think I knew it at one point, took me a while to get back to it, is that none of the work that I do, none of the work that any keiki who are younger than me can do, any opio who are my age or like around my age can do, would be possible without the good work that Mat's generation has done. And none of that work would have been possible without our kupuna's work and the elder generation. Because as shitty as the planet has been left and as shitty as a state we've been left with, there were always good people fighting the good fight, and we have to remember that. And it feels like an honor, even though it can be feel like an uphill battle sometimes to be part of the generation that is also fighting the good fight. There's a lot of us who feel like this. My advice and like what I ask is that you remember that intergenerational connection, but also remember that it's going to continue. And all of you are here because you know that this place, this earth that we live on, is an amazing place filled with amazing people, and we have to be caring for it. But please remember that for kids, this is very scary. But it doesn't mean we have to hide the truth. It just means that we take into consideration that they're children, but also help them to start fighting the good fight and inspiring them, and that means listening to us. So, yeah.
I love both of you. Thank you so much for sharing your hearts and your words and your intellect and all of the work that you're doing. And You've deeply inspired me, and I'm sure have moved a lot of other people in this audience. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo.